Greetings and salutations, everybody. We're astonishingly enough back 2 weeks in a row.
Yo, 2 weeks.
I'm terrified.
We're back with D&D Abeyance, and therefore I'm going to hand things over to Nick since he's the one running it. Woo!
Yes, that is accurate. All right. So, when last we left off, you guys were making your plans of war. Essentially, you all know not where your primary suspect in the case is, Stanford, but you can find out where he is because due to the surreptitious efforts of one Reaper Gideon, who, thinking in a bizarrely modern fashion, turned on his phone and dropped it in Stanford's car so that you could later track it. But after realizing that you could do this, there then came to be the issue of like, okay, well, now we're going to go to wherever he is and find out what we can. So you started to just kind of start making preparations for the big battle, as it were. It's not going to be a battle, but you did the equivalent of that. Went around seeing if there were some special items and weapons and skills and such that you could acquire, such as Dentalion decided to basically get the ability to just hang around more permanently in the physical world, as if you were more of a full-blown Reaper, seeing if you could get some extra spells and the like, and also seeing if you could pick up some allies to help you out. That was the last note that we ended out on, which was, although Gideon's fellow Reapers indicated that they couldn't necessarily dedicate to a long run of helping, as you've kind of been having people tag along in your last couple of sessions outside of Limbo. But Jay recommended a co-worker of his named Tsurugi, who might be able to be in it for the long haul with you. And that is where we leave off. I can't recall if I'm missing any details. There were a couple of conversations that were had along the way, as well as you guys kind of contemplate the position that you were in.
Right, there was the whole thing with breaking on Michael.
Yes. But for right now, you guys are, I guess, getting set. So there was a little bit that got brought up prior to the session. Ash, you had had a little bit of time to think about things, and you asked me for a couple of spells to see if those could be provided for you in the form of scrolls. And what that has gotten you in the short term is that Maurice has been able to score you a Phantasmal Force scroll with special permission for this very high priority case that you guys are working on.
That is going to be helpful. Jerome is very much intent on, this is his job to bring justice, and extract confessions from people that have wronged the dead. And even though we haven't been able to actually track down or talk to Cecilia Teague, like, this is something that Jerome is very much intent on, because at this point it's all but confirmed that Stanford was involved in her death, at least in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we knew about the paintings. We knew that her medication was tainted, and we knew that he knew she was seeing things. So, 1 + 1 + 1 equals murder, I guess.
It's a math equation that if you like orient stuff around, it's like, oh, you can spell it. Look, you just twist it around.
It's one of those things where it's like one of those puzzles where you kind of just adjust things into the certain angle when it spells a word.
I'm pretty sure 1 + 1 + 1 is 11. If we're talking about binary, at least,
let's see. Okay. In terms of stuff that you can take care of in Limbo before heading out, there is Jay has offered to set you up with just a quick get to know you kind of
Mhm.
sit down with Sarugi.
All right.
If you want to pursue that option. Anything else that you guys can think of as last minute prep kind of thing?
Nothing I can think of at the moment for me, but other than the game's no Tsurugi, but
Yeah. An idea I had was getting access to basically another spell, which would be I have to trade out one of my spells I can, and get disguise self to make things easier for.
You did mention that. Yeah, that is something that you can pick, right?
Yeah.
At your current level, I should say. Yeah, if you want to trade out something, I think that with the prep that you've got available right now, that's definitely something we can go with.
Excellent.
So I'll just keep an eye on your your Sheen D&D Beyond. So
Yep, I am just looking. I just got rid of Chaos Bolt, which I took because I was still thinking that combat will be a thing that happens. Where are you, disguise self?
I think that I had kind of thought that it might happen more at the beginning, and then as time went by, I was like, no, I don't know how to do. I don't know how to do combat. No. So you can do that. Oh, also, I think that yes, I mean, you went through all the paperwork and jumped through the hoops and everything. There was not really a specific promise that it would happen, but you are able to get set up so that you're kind of finishing the process of getting your kind of permanent, or I guess what is a term for it? It's not technically permanent, but it's a more permanent means of staying in the physical world.
From provisional to
So it's like you have a corporeal visa, you know?
Yeah.
I really do.
Tenure? Do you want to say tenure? It's like either absurd, you know?
Yeah.
I really do imagine a lot of these things that we're getting are coming in the form of bureaucratic things. I imagine Jerome's scroll, quote unquote scroll, is really just like a paper authorization to actually do it.
You actually just get back the requisition form with the magical text on it. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's not actually a scroll. Yeah, it's just it's a contract that references the scroll.
Right.
That's
so
not
the contract has a large white square in the middle of it, and then that gets stamped with the magical arcane text that you draw from.
The entirety of the spell can be expressed in a single stamp. It's pretty impressive what can be done in bureaucracy.
Well, it's a QR code.
I'm just going to assume that we got a long rest in here.
Oh, yes. Yeah. This is, at the very least, hours that you guys are getting for this to happen. So.
Oh, it's my mistake. It's a QR Kana code. That's what it is. Got it. Anyways,
I love that.
It's Quick Arcana. That's what it stands for. You know, it.
So, considering the nature of the context we're about to be introduced to, my head spelled that out Arkana. It's magical Kana.
Yes.
So that's how my head went on that one.
I get you. Yeah. All right. So we got that, and I should say that Eric Dentani is not being oh, and here's your robe and scythe or anything like that. It's just okay, yes, we're accelerating one of the perks basically.
Gotcha.
And there we go. All right.
It's a shame because I look great in a robe.
Just dress up in bed sheets sometimes. It's look, I look so cool.
I'm just imagining them telling that at a Toga party now.
I mean, that would be in his wheelhouse, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Okay, so you wanted to do that meeting then, Gideon.
I mean, yeah. I mean, whenever it's supposed to happen, it should happen.
Yeah. I mean, it does require, you know, Jay to like make contact and everything,
Mhm.
but you do get word back pretty soon afterwards. Like it's essentially like if like someone's like, okay, well, let me make a call, and then they come back in and it's like, oh yeah, it can happen literally whenever you want.
So yeah,
It-
basically, whenever there's a good bit of enough downtime for it.
Mhm. Does anyone want to go with Gideon for this?
Well, This is-
I am an assistant.
Okay.
this is definitely in like something Jerome is taking a active lead in, and she's probably going to come as well.
Sorry, I was briefly distracted. What was going on?
Let's go with Gideon. Yeah.
Meeting with
Going with
Sarugi.
Gideon to meet new Reaper person.
I should probably go.
Okay.
All right. I guess I'm going to then, since everyone else.
I guess the
is.
Scooby Gang is going. All right.
Yeah.
I
Like,
mean, we could just let you go if you don't want us to go.
I
We
don't.
can-
I'm
we can-
fine with it. I'm just amused. That's all.
Oh man, now I'm just imagining all of you with Hanna-Barbera walk cycles.
Oh, please, no.
Constantly recycling background.
Anything that's going to move from the painting is very obviously differently colored.
Yep.
mhm.
To be fair, that does sound like something Jerome would do during like a haunting. Just do just cast a spell to make it like run through like endless halls, and it's just repeating the background.
While 60s pop music plays. All right. You guys are led somewhere by Jay. And in fact, he leads you to somewhere on the outskirts of Limbo. And of course, I say outskirts, but
Right.
it really just is like a place that most of you probably haven't really been to because it's kind of out of the way. And as you approach it, it starts to look like very, very typically like rural Japanese, with the, what do they call it? It begins with a T, the gates, the Shinto gates.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Toshi? No.
Ori,
Tori. That's it.
Torii gates. Yeah, that is definitely it. Yeah. A small little, very gently flowing river that plays the perfect amount of ambiance as you cross over a small bridge through it and to at
I
once.
really want to change it from ambiance to Enya.
Oh no.
wrong vibe. So you're led into a home, and it is very, old Japanese style, a classic Japanese style. Sliding doors, tatami mats, and an area to put your shoes to the side and all of that kind of thing. And there is immediately just kind of like an atrium area, but there's just the sliding door walls on all three sides of it coming in through the entryway.
This should probably seem fairly familiar to like Reiko, at least like thematically.
Even if Reiko's never like lived in a home like this, I cannot imagine that she's never been in one. So
Mm-hmm.
Oh jeez, I just realized.
Hmm?
Dentalian was alive in the 60s. The whole, like, everything Asian is cool and is also Chinese, despite it clearly not being Chinese.
Oh no.
Chinese ninjas.
Nanjas.
Oh God. That's a, oh man.
So do you do, like, Kung Fu?
Oh dear. Jay looks.
I
at
will
you.
be good. I will be good. I promise.
Like I feel like Reiko would side eye you pretty
I'm just
hard.
like, come on, dude. So no one is in this initial atrium room. So from the door.
All right. Before entering, by the way, I'm going to switch into my. I'm going to switch over to just my more traditional Reaper outfit.
Before entering, Reiko is going to take off her shoes.
That's why I was doing that.
This form doesn't have shoes.
Exactly.
I dare you to tell whether or not I'm wearing shoes.
Oh no! Yeah.
Jerome looks down at his just like the talons that are his feet. He's like, no. Just kind of shrugs and just walks in.
Gideon will be polite.
Just those little talon clicks on the mat. All right. You all enter. And Jay, who has also taken his shoes off, steps inside, kind of does not quite a double take, but it seems like he wasn't really expecting this. And then he doesn't shrug, but he kind of does. His body language is kind of the equivalent of what for him would be shrugging.
Mm.
And he steps to the wall in front of you, takes the handle, and he slides the door to the side.
Uh-huh.
And then he says, I greet you, Reaper Surugi. Pardon the intrusion upon your domicile. And he is speaking to a figure who is kneeling on a cushion, clad in a kimono black as the abyss.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks up at all of you with a welcoming smile.
So I have a
yes.
question here.
Yes.
I feel like if there's any Reaper that Reiko should have any awareness of, it would be this one.
Give me a religion check with advantage.
Are you kidding me? Oh wait, hang on. That wasn't an advantage.
You didn't do it with advantage, no.
Are you kidding me?
You haven't done it
Awesome.
with it. Word. You didn't do it with advantage. Just
Oh, I see.
do it with advantage. Make sure you hold down the advantage button.
There
Oh,
we
you nat 20. Look at that.
I want to make her keep the 2-3s.
Good job for that.
Don't patronize me. Shut up.
Reiko, as you look at this figure who is looking slightly up at all of you, your eyes take in her stark white, very stringy looking hair, and her mottled gray skin. And you immediately think to yourself, this is a Shinigami.
Mm-hmm.
In Japanese folklore, especially Shinto, a entity that draws people to their deaths, which is a little bit of a different descriptor from a Reaper.
Yeah.
Right.
This is like a Botan. This is something different.
Right.
They're also really good with swords that change shape.
Bum.
I don't know what you're talking about. Also, they'll sell you really cool eyes for half your lifespan. But But she looks up at all of you with a smile that I think, Reiko, you immediately don't really trust.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
So my own ignorance about this, because I feel like Reiko knows this kind of thing better than I would.
sure.
What reason would I have to distrust this? I distrust it, but why?
Shinigami uh, work to draw people to their deaths, which is typically done by possession or by getting inside people's heads and basically telling them to join them in death. So she looks up at you all and she, outwardly seems very welcoming and friendly. It is because she is welcoming you to something.
All right. Well, I said this very early on that Reiko is the kind of person who's just going to say something when she thinks it and is not going to be socially cognizant of it. So, what are you up to?
I knew that you would come, and I am happy to see you all.
Really now? And why would that be?
Because we're cool.
Jay has been telling me that you would like my help, and I am happy to offer it.
Potentially, indeed.
What can you tell me about the person that you are seeking?
Gideon will seat himself upon the floor, sort of steeple his bony fingers, and sort of stare at her for a moment.
Reiko will follow the maneuver outside of the Gendoing.
Yeah. Perhaps I should have Jai. Has Jay told you much about the situation as a whole?
He began to tell me of the importance of your situation. I think that he did not get to all of the details before I invited you here.
I see. Interesting.
I'm just going to roll something over here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Proceed.
All right. I will fill Sarugi in on the outlines of what's going on.
All right.
Keeping things somewhat basic, but not like, not like leaving out super important details. Giving the most important details.
All right.
I'm mostly from a case of from just wanting to not spend too much time on the subject. But I'm also, while doing so, I'm sort of observing her and trying to get a feel for what I think of them. So I'm going to roll an insight check here while talking. Thoroughly below average. Oh well, whatever.
While that's going on, Reiko's going to have a look around the room because she's curious about something. Are there any personal effects in here?
Not to make a pun about with all the skeletal people here, but this room is incredibly bare bones.
Mm-hmm.
There is basically nothing in the way of like actual decoration. There's no altars to anything, which kind of actually strikes Reiko as a little bit odd, I think. But there's no pictures. There is furniture, quote unquote, in the sense that there is a low table in front of and between you and Sarugi, and there are like some cushions that you can sit on a little bit more comfortably if you choose to sit.
Mhm.
But there is this room looks like essentially someone set it up to hold a meeting and didn't bother with putting in like stuff to make it look lived in. It almost seems false in that sense.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are not adding up here, but I'm also not wanting to ruin things. So press on for the moment. Reiko's just taking things in.
Gotcha. So you go over Gideon some of the outline of what has been happening.
Mhm.
I imagine like you go over like the souls not reaped, and essentially some of the footwork you've done up to this point that has led you to going after Stanford. Do you mention why you were led to him in the first place?
That would strike me as somewhat. I'll mention that we were given information from a good source that would that led us to him. If she presses, then I might. If she inquires as to the nature of that source, I'll consider answering. A source I trust intimately. I'll put it that way. And I will intone that in a way that is something that Gideon does not do often.
As you go through the explanation, Sarugi asks very few like follow-up questions, just kind of like sits and occasionally nods along. And as time goes along, sometimes you get the sense that, she's just kind of hearing things that she expected to hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, as Gideon gets through part of, about halfway through his explanation, Jerome and Tan start to clock that this is all a formality.
Mm-hmm.
Tsurugi either knows about what's going on or she doesn't, but she doesn't actually care.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Like, Jerome is very much having an internal thought that the reason why this person hasn't come up too much previously is perhaps because this Reaper is a bit of a wild card and maybe isn't the consummate professional that the others seem to be.
Yeah, Tan is probably just, reading the only thing that was like outside, which was like the pamphlet. Every shrine has to have a pamphlet that explains stuff in there and such for the non-locals and such. And Tan is just sort of like being intentionally just disconnected from the conversation, just hanging out near Jerome while just listening to the proceedings and appearing disinterested themselves.
The Italian's trying to look professional and standing like a little back and to the right of Gideon, but is kind of fidgeting and wondering why there are no chairs and.
Where are the
nicer
bean bags?
Yeah, or bean bags. Bean bags would be nice. I miss bean bags. Every place should have bean bags.
Is Dan Tyler's apartment just like a table with beanbags around and just like a giant hookah?
I wonder if I can summon a bean bag. I've never tried before. This isn't the place to do that. I should pay attention to what Gideon is saying.
I mean,
got so many second level spells, but I could use one of them on Summon Monster 2 to summon a beanbag.
All right.
you could summon a flump.
Reiko's just going to kind of take in, everything so far. So what's your other edge?
Edge? What do you mean?
Your name. Most blades that source from our homeland are of a single edge, except the Tsurugi. I don't particularly find myself thinking that you're being entirely upfront with us.
She looks at you, Reiko, and her eyes dwell on you for a little while. She keeps maintaining that smile on her face, and as it stares at you, you get the impression that she is wearing a mask in terms of both how false it is and how unmoving it is.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, she makes the sound of a chuckle, but the vibration doesn't reach her body. And she says, "What I can tell you is this. I can guarantee that you will be successful if I come with you."
So I should try summoning a beanbag. No, pay attention.
You want to gain information from this Stanford, and I can help you do that. Not only help, I can guarantee it.
Uh-huh.
I'm
You may not
curious as
like
to
what
what
I
your
do.
methods would be.
I would make him long for death, and then I would kill him. When he is dead, you will have free reign to extract the information from him.
I thought so.
Like the feathers on like Jerome's, like I guess what his neck would be are kind of like he's got that puppy owl look to him, like something's like
Oh,
he's
the
like
feathers, they be ruffled.
yeah, he's like
I'm
this is
torn here because Eric is like, finally violence. I don't think Dantalian's necessarily on board.
I will say that Tan will do a rather disrespectful move of closing the pamphlet they have in hand and just walking out at that suggestion. Like they are not interested in hearing anything further at that after that offer is made. Basically, is what Tan is suggesting with their motion there.
Yeah, Jerome is very nearly walking out the door himself. This is very antithetical to like what his entire profession is and what his moral compass is. It's like he's not above like scaring the absolute crap out of somebody, but murder is something that he just doesn't do.
Yeah, but Tan will not say anything, but will just leave quietly at that point.
I seem to have caused offense.
I believe that most of us operate under a different code of ethics than you do, Tsurugi.
She nods in concession to this.
Gideon will sit there pondering for a second.
I suspected as much. You're not a Reaper, you're a Shinigami.
Yeah, yes.
Gideon.
Yes.
Actually, I guess everyone except Reiko. Oh no, Reiko, you've got the thing. Everyone who is still present can give me a history check.
Sure.
All right.
I can do that.
History.
For the sake of...
I'm confident to that. Well, in theory, I could also not... I could roll well, but that'd be fine. That would be nice.
I don't suppose I get advantage on this one also.
No. I mean,
I'm just wondering.
Dantalian rolled well, though.
To do something.
As did Jerome.
Dantalian knows what's what.
In terms of the type of thing that this is, like the reason
Shady,
why...
extra legal, of course, Dantalian knows about it.
Well,
that tracks.
Jerome, the more that you've kind of been sitting in on this, and now especially as you hear this detail, And Dentalian, you would think that you've actually heard some rumors about this from, like the people that you've kind of like hung out with while you've been in Limbo. It kind of makes sense to you now why Tsurugi is not associated with the other Reapers, of course, is that she operates very differently, much more directly from each of them. In the sense that, she actually seemingly acts of her own accord. And you have heard some rumors of, a Reaper who acts this way. And that also they're kind of young as far as Reapers are concerned. So to give everyone kind of like a sense of the scale here, Gideon doesn't like know how old that he is, but he and Giorgio are at the very least like probably thousands of years old. Old is also probably at least 1,000 years old, probably more. And then Sawyer is just a few hundred years old. Tsurugi is probably about 100 to 200 years old in terms of this, what you guys have been hearing about how long this Reaper has been active. And this kind of corroborates, since Reiko rolled a nat 20, with kind of the legends about Shinigami, which is they didn't actually kind of like start to appear in Japanese folklore until basically Japan started to have contact with the West. There were ideas of what entities of death were in old folklore before that, but in terms of a Reaper-like figure, that wasn't until there was the mixing of cultures there.
I feel like Reiko should absolutely know this.
Yes. So, however, just because there's that influence there, the form that it has always taken has been that, Shinigami possess people and invite them to death that way. They kind of feed off of it. However, from your professional perspectives, Jerome and Italian, if Tsurugi has been operating this way for this long, as in, a century or two, then it still fits within the realm of what Reapers do. That being said, there is not any particular reason that you have to be like, oh, well, I don't like it, but so I have to put up with it. It's just a matter of she has been operating this way for a while.
It's very much a thing that, like, it feels like if Death didn't want this to be happening, it wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, that is literally where Gideon is sitting on this at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's like Gideon's like, this does not fit in with my personal code of ethics, but that is irrelevant largely.
Reiko's kind of the perspective of, I understand that this is how this individual operates. I just want them to be honest about it. And now that that's out, then, she's less bothered by everything.
So Jerome kind of just looks at Gideon and he's like, I ethically cannot condone this, but as my profession is one of justice and not of the vigilante sort.
Indeed.
But this is more within your wheelhouse.
Yes.
If this is something that you're willing to accept, then
situationally,
I mean, so D'Italian, upon hearing this, his eyes go, the little points of light that represent his eyes go bright, and they squeeze way down, and they sort of go back to normal, and he goes, it's not like he doesn't deserve it.
potentially.
Jerome immediately snaps to the Italian. That's not something for us to decide. That's the entire point of the system.
Tsurugi more audibly chuckles at the stuff that you guys are saying.
Gideon will hold up a hand. Tsurugi.
Yes.
The way I operated when I was purely a Reaper would be along the lines of, once it was determined that it was his time, I do not care how it was achieved. If you understand my meaning. Additionally,
you are saying it is not necessarily this man's time.
correct. I do not know if it's this man's time. Nor am I certain that he is the one behind what is going on, and extreme methods of obtaining the information that would lead to him passing on possibly prior to his time may not be merited. However, if you are willing to, you very well may be the method of, maybe what his method of passing on is supposed to be. I do not know. I'm willing to wait on that. Are you?
Give me a persuasion check.
Absolutely. I'm rolling below average today.
Okay, you got 14.
Yes.
She sits back a little bit. Well, I guess, was it kneels back? She leans back a little bit. That's the verb in the
Right.
her position. You know, I think there is a reason why I am not invited to your little dinner parties, your little get-togethers. If you are inviting me in this case, it would be rude of me to turn you down. When someone invites you somewhere, you should go with them, after all. I will go with you, and I will not touch this man. I will not influence him, unless prompted to do so by you or by one above us both.
That is amenable.
Yeah, that works.
Then are we have
I
an
presume
accord?
this extends to others as well? Meaning target as opposed to giving the order.
You cannot tell a bird not to fly.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, you can tell them not to fly, man. They probably won't listen to you.
You're able to say goddamn thing.
I mean, exactly. You tell the bird not to fly. It's just a question of whether or not it's going to listen to you.
She smiles.
I mean, there is a technical counter to that, but I'm not going to bring it up because I don't think Gideon would say it.
And also clip its wings.
That was the thing Gideon's not going to say. Because it is not Gideon's position to do so.
We're also not telling it and that's also not telling the bird.
No, it's not.
Sure, it is. It's telling it by force. By
Draco is simply going to respond, I am telling you nothing. I simply want to ensure that we have an understanding.
Then I will assist in making this understanding. My domain is of despair and wickedness. I am not interested in those who do not, as you would put it, deserve what I give them. I think that you would find that this man does, but I will not act on my own in this case. And you will not need to worry about me acting on anyone else unless they would deserve it as well.
Well, once you are aware of the location, I really do not have. It is not my jurisdiction to influence you in this situation, in such a way.
You can think of it this way. Even if you had not told me about this, there is no guarantee that I would not have acted.
That is largely my point, yes. So I take it we have an accord then.
We do.
Very well.
Reiko will offer a small bow of respect for the time and, result.
She returns your bow.
Diddy will make a polite bow, rise to his feet. Then we shall see each other at the appointed time.
We shall.
Reiko will stand and follow Gideon.
And then I'll leave.
Yeah, Jerome leaves the others without bowing. He's very much like, no.
I'll wave as I go.
Give me
Bean bags.
American in Japan.
Italian, give me a insight check.
Wake up, computer. Insight.
I have a
Where are
feeling
you?
that she has thoughts about Dantalion.
All right. She smiles at you when you waved in Italian.
Mm-hmm. It's not a friendly smile, is it?
I don't know if it's not friendly, but you don't like the way that she smiles at you.
She might like the way she's smiling at you, but you don't.
She's got that whole predator kind of smile going.
Predator smile.
It is very much like, yeah, a lion smiling
Yeah.
at you kind of thing.
The place
I
needs
will
bean bags.
Yeah, like when others step outside, they'll see like Tananar is just sort of leaning against like the wall near the door, just basically just sort of disinterested in these proceedings.
Fair.
Well, Tan, I've got good news and bad news. She's coming with us, but we've got her on a leash. I don't know which is which.
Alright, that's good.
You claim that you have her on a leash, but entities like her are not beholden to leashes. They're beholden to their particular job and how it interacts with everything.
Yes.
So
Yeah, she made a promise. That's part of the deal.
I'm saying that the promise is hollow. Because if she determines that her job is to do what she needs to do, she will do it.
Yep.
Jerome kind of. Go ahead.
And at best, all we can do is protest if it was done out of line. And then I assume only death could override such a thing. But at that point, it would be too late. So this is all beyond my scope of things.
Hey, all I'm saying is that you can't tell a bird not to fly. Just gotta clip its fucking wings.
What?
Jerome, go ahead.
What? That does not seem to be astute or relevant necessarily here. Also, Jerome is right there, Dan.
He's just all ruffled up, like.
Poor Jerome.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Jerome. That was a play on words and something she said earlier.
it's like, yes, I was there. Jerome does,
You all were there. I was the only one who wasn't when that was
Reiko
given.
is just going to pull out like a silk fabric and try and get some static by rubbing against Jerome's feathers.
Jerome allows this just because he's just like, he's not angry at like Reiko, so he doesn't want to take it out on her. He's just kind of like this is the chances of this backfiring are very high, and we need to get some information out of this. And I am not happy that we may eventually be involved in what is potentially going to be considered a murder.
Gideon is going to look a little puzzled at that, actually. Interesting.
I mean,
If it comes to be deemed that it's his time, then I don't think there's any concern myself.
Jerome is yes, but there's one thing we have to consider. This person operates so far outside of the norms of what happens around here. They could be involved in this. This
It's
could
possible,
be
yes.
just an opportunity to silence Stanford before
You're
we get
correct.
any kind of
It
answers
is.
out of it.
You are correct. It is a possibility, and one that I'm factoring into my plans.
I mean, I'm going to point out, like, silence him how? If she kills him, it goes right into the palm of our hands.
Really? Did we have Cecilia?
No, but we've got a Reaper and almost kind of sort of Reaper right there.
We will have more than one Reaper there. Period.
Yeah.
Jerome just kind of harums. She's like, "This is like."
But that is not my. That is also not my point.
Jerome does harum. He's like, "I trust you, Gideon, but do understand that this is putting me into an awkward situation, at least professionally."
It's not so much a thing to trust me on. It's more a. She is part of how things work here. She's just not part of my. She's just not part of my Bailiwick. Technically, none of the Reapers aren't currently the way the Reapers operate currently is either.
Yeah.
And
if she's allowed to operate at all implies a degree of what's the word I'm looking for? Endorsement.
And given that she is already aware of, given that she was aware of Stanford's existence at all, means that it's entirely possible she would move on her own without us being there anyways.
Jay is also there.
Yes.
I should indicate.
But yes, Jay.
Yes.
I'm curious to know your thoughts on this as well.
Jay looks kind of awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I did warn you that she could be a bit intense.
Oh, yes. And she is.
You are correct that Tsurugi operates differently than the rest of us. However, that does not necessarily mean that she operates differently than the rest of us.
I rather suspected as much. I did not think you would. I assumed that you would not suggest her if it was particularly too far outside of the way things should be operating. By the way, by our rules.
So, if I'm understanding the protocol perspective here, it's not strictly speaking murder when she does it because it is their time. She's just more proactive in her means.
Tsurugi and I look at things very differently. I will not pretend that we do not. It would be foolhardy to do so. We are at odds in terms of how we approach our respective jobs, partially in the sense that she does not think it is a job. Of course it is. It's a very important job. We didn't do it.
I mean, she doesn't think it's a job. Does she think it's a hobby or something?
It is
Existence.
Yes. Yes. Young Reiko is correct. Think of it this way. Do you believe in fate?
I mean, not particularly.
So you believe that anything that happens in your life is caused by the decisions of yourself and those around you, not of some overseeing force.
I mean, not exactly in life right now. But
understandable.
When I was alive, that otherwise there's no such thing as free will.
But there are those who believe that everything that happens to them and to those around them is the work of fate, some higher force, that we can make decisions perhaps within that framework, but ultimately the plan, such as it is ultimately what matters.
Yeah, there are words for people like that. The nicest call them determinists. So might call them rubes.
He kind of like shuffles the ledger he has at his side. Well, all right then. My point is this. Despite the fact that you may believe that everything that happens around you is partially random, partially the work of decisions of people like yourself, or if you believe the opposite, that everything is the work, the machination of some guiding force, the things that happen around you happen just the same.
Right.
That is the closest equivalence that I can offer in terms of how we can so vehemently disagree with Tsurugi's views, but ultimately, things happen just the same. And just as your belief that those who believe in a lack of free will can be so frustrating, so too can you find the fact that Tsurugi thinks that she is the one making the decision to end the life of another. Well, if I had to hold that against her, then it would really be fooling myself in terms of what I do as well.
Right.
Is what I do just murder? Or is it important that I carry out my tasks? And I have to believe it is the latter. And because I have to believe it is the latter, I cannot hold that against her. I am not saying that you have to like the way that she does things, because to do so would be to invalidate who you are as people. But that is... And he kind of just looks uncomfortable and trails off.
Grass grows, tides flow, vampires suck, Shinigami do what they do.
She reminds me somewhat of the shark, actually.
Was it the smile?
No, how she operates.
Hero just kind of like lets out a sigh, and he's like, if Maurice was still alive, he would have a heart attack when he reads the report after this.
I'm not
Maurice's
interested in
office.
casting judgment upon her for what she is and what she perceives herself to being. I just care that she be honest. And she has been honest with us sufficiently.
So far as you know.
As I said, sufficiently.
At any rate, this will provide. This should provide.
Rico incidentally is taking notes of the address for later visitation. Rico just doesn't want the job to get compromised. That doesn't mean that she, thinks any less of this individual for the way that they operate, because they are an aspect of death in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's her territory. So,
yeah, like Yeah, Tan's distaste is very clear.
Oh, sure, and understandable.
They do not. Yeah, sorry. One second.
Sorry, Sketch.
Yeah,
Didn't mean to
your
interrupt
echo's
you.
on currently.
I know. Yeah,
It's the vocal thing. Just
No,
trying to turn it off.
yeah. Like Tan is visibly upset
Right.
at all this and does not have any interest in explaining themselves.
That's
on
fine.
This front.
That's fine.
Yeah. I think Jerome is probably the most in tune and understanding of what like Tan is. Like, we don't operate in the same systems
Right.
that everybody else is here. Our compunctions are very much a result of that. We don't have to, like, we may work with Reapers, but we don't have to be as accepting of what we view as injustice.
I'm
yeah.
like there's, yeah. I mean, if someone wants to talk to Tan about stuff, they're welcome to, but Tan is not going to offer any further comments.
Entirely fair. A support conversation for a later time.
Yeah. Gotta get those social links going.
Oh, I hate when people call him that.
All right. I will give you guys one more chance if you have thought of anything else you might want to do before you set off.
Think of anything on top of my head.
Nope, I've got nothing.
So, as you head back to headquarters in the Crossroads, a messenger kind of meets up with you and indicates that Michael is working on a bit of a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
In the case that this task lasts, like, more than just a good chunk of the day.
Right.
And that while it is probably impossible for the other Reapers to help out in this regard, that he is working on a schedule so that some of them like Ode, Giorgio, Therese, etc., will occasionally just kind of come out to meet you so that they can make sure that Reiko gets back to Limbo to kind of like recharge, essentially.
Right.
And that otherwise they're going to kind of like leave you guys to your own devices. But that there is going to be a check-in so that they make sure that nothing bad happens with Reiko if she is not, since she can't really go in physical form while you guys are trying to do this operation.
Right.
I mean, Reiko's the one who volunteered to come back in the first place because, need to recharge. She may be, socially brash and excitable. She's not stupid.
And what's the word I'm thinking for? The feeling that you also get is that this is just kind of like to make it official because they kind of have to, just because like, well, we can't really just leave her. We can't just trust her to do that. Not because you're not trustworthy, but because we're not supposed to trust her to do that.
Right.
So.
Right.
No, I get it. Like,
all right.
Like Reiko is cooperating and understanding of all this stuff. She's just going to be saying things about it the whole way.
I think that is expected at this point. So.
What? Reiko mouthing off? No,
Yeah.
never.
So when you guys are set to head out, Sarugi meets you all at the Crossroads.
Uh-huh.
She is still dressed in the jet black kimono.
Yep.
But she is, standing as you greet her. And
Gideon is back in PI mode at the moment.
with your
Yes.
your Columbo trench coat.
Yes, and hat and such. I'm not currently here as a Reaper, so that may be necessary.
I am curious to ask,
Hmm.
because at the beginning at least, I will be here primarily in a, what is the word?
Observational?
Advisory.
Hmm.
Advisory.
Sure.
Advisory role. Have any of you done anything like this before?
Jerome's just kind of like, yes, many, many times. This is my professional job.
She
Not
nods.
any way that I can admit to in a legal sense.
That depends on what you mean by this.
A long-term operation to influence a living person.
That is my primary specialization.
I see. Given the way that the two of you acted before, can I assume that you do so differently from how I recommended?
My concern is not to do anything with respect to those whose time it is or time who has already passed. My concern is to provide comfort and closure for those who have yet to arrive, and in turn, to provide comfort to those who have arrived.
Jerome is just very much. My role is very similar. I go out and extract vengeance and justice for those that have been wronged so previously that they cannot pass on. But as it implies, I cannot kill someone. This is in at least in my viewpoint and as my professional viewpoint, this would be crossing the line into something that is beyond the scope of what is my profession. And my boss would agree.
So I see.
It should be noted that I am not the same as you. I was a mortal being. I lived. I died. And this is what I have to do to go past this for whatever that is.
Both of you guys could give me an insight check.
All
Tan
right.
and Jerome.
Oof.
Ooh.
Jerome's completely missed the point.
I will do the reroll here for me. That's a
I
15
should probably-
for
I should-
Tan. Oh,
I need to sit-
that's a 14 for Tan in that
14.
case there.
Okay.
I should definitely save my reroll for later, considering I'm going to be doing some heavy haunting.
Jerome, I think that it is fair to say is frazzled, is stressed by having this presence with them. Tan, you kind of get the impression, because you were, of course, present for the explanation that Gideon gave, and as it went on, it seemed clear to you guys that she was not actually really interested in it. She is clearly actually listening intently to both of you as you explain this. Like, this is all like news to her, and so she is actually like engaging with the information she's taking in this case. And you get the impression that that is because it's kind of a case where before it's like, oh, you had me, it's we need to haunt someone, versus this is nothing to do with that. It's outside of her general wheelhouse. This is just kind of a new thing to her. So she is actually taking that in. But as you go through that, she says, I see. You approach things with a gentle hand. Then I will allow you to work.
Jerome is, finally gives her a slight nod of acknowledgement. It's like, thank you. I pride myself in what I do.
Tan gives a quizzical tilt of their head at the "I will allow you to work" kind of line there, just like, wonder what that means in this particular phrasing.
Mhm.
Jerome definitely would not have picked up on that, considering how badly he rolled his insight.
Tan, I'm debating whether Tan should follow up with a question on that, but I'm leaning towards not at this juncture.
Actually, to follow up on that, she will say, there is a reason that Jay did think that I might be helpful to you in this sense. And so, I expect that you would not prompt me for any suggestions, given our differing interests. I will consider this when contemplating what advice I may give you. But I will still offer it freely.
I appreciate the extra perspective.
Mm.
Tan will give a little shrug and say, my domain is independent from that of Reapers insofar that it is not my choice or my judgment as to whether someone's time has arrived or what should happen as a result of that. All I seek to do is provide comfort and a means to pass on for those who have arrived, and closure for those who still remain unknowing of what has happened to those that they may care for.
Give me one more insight check, Tan.
Yeah, these rolls have been terrible all day.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we've all just been kind of blowing chunks.
All right.
Well, Dan's rolled okay a few times.
Let's all right. So she just kind of like takes that in but does not have anything to say in response. And so the 6 of you set off into the physical world once more. Reiko,
Mm-hmm.
you, after some difficulty, were able to get the right, we'll call it an app, but I'm not sure if it's actually an app, given the stuff that you're working with, on your phone to track Gideon's phone.
Oh, good.
So
Oh boy.
you are let out at a location pretty nearby to where you need to be. And follow, I guess, the GPS map signal to where you think that the location of Gideon's phone is.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are in a hamlet of some sorts in the hills somewhere within the British Isles. I believe that it is. What was the name of it? I forget what it was called. So the nearest city that you guys are aware of is a place called Norwich, which is in the north of England. What? South of, sorry, of England. Yeah. What? There was a gasp.
Yeah.
I'll explain later. Don't worry about it. It's irrelevant.
Gotcha. So, you make your way to an area, and you eventually come to an abode that is at the top of a kind of gradual hill, and you spot the car that you saw Stanford get into. It is a 2-floor building Not particularly large. It looks basically like a townhouse, but a bit bigger. It's like not as large as like a. It's not as large as like if you had a proper like house. It's not like a 3-bedroom house in terms of overall space. If like all 3 bedrooms were on a single floor, but because it's 2 floors, you think there might be room for 3 bedrooms, kind of thing. And just to
Right.
give you a general sense of the size of it. So it's a comfortable size, but it's not large.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just the one vehicle that is pulled up outside of it.
Okay, just the one vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. All right. Is there anybody around the vehicle? Or is there any obvious signs of like cameras on it? I'm just curious.
Give me a perception check.
Absolutely. This is me actually looking worse perception. Where are you hiding? There you are. Not very good at this, but whatever. Yep, that's about what I expected.
All right. You look around, and I will say that because you are specifically asking me, are there any cameras? You spot one pretty readily.
Yep.
Which is overlooking the kind of the driveway area. It is like not hidden in any sense, but it's a pretty standard looking white security camera.
I'm gonna ask, do I see any other security measures beyond the obvious camera?
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick question because my attention lapsed. I presume this is with me being bodiless again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Just want to be sure.
Yeah. Everyone who is present does not have a physical body as of present.
Right, let's see how that rolls up for Dantalion, and then I will make my.
With the 16. Yeah, Dental, you start scoping out the place, and there is more than just the one security camera. It seems like there is something to cover basically every angle of the building from what you can see. There is also something that is overlooking the front driveway kind of area, which you recognize as some form of motion detector on top of just the camera.
Now, Jerome's is actually going to take a different approach, considering what we know and suspect of what's going on. I'm actually going to have him cast Detect Magic as a ritual. So 10 minutes, but we got time to do that.
We do.
Okay.
And he's going to do a quick light sweep around the other, because he is still an owl. He's just a very big owl in his spirit form, and just kind of like go around and see if there's any kind of magical detections or deterrents around that might detect them in their spirit form.
I was actually going to ask you to do that something along this line at some point.
Yeah. So
give me some kind of roll. Just like I just want to roll here.
I think an investigation is pretty good.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
All right.
I think you should try to intimidate the situation.
And I think that since you're like specifically like looking for one particular thing and you've got a spell to assist you, do it with advantage. Because
Okay, let me roll that with advantage then.
Yeah.
Similar in the ritual territory, I'd like to do the detect of the substance.
Okay. Do the same for me, please.
Jerome rolled
roll, you
21.
said?
Investigation with advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
19. Okay.
And a 21 for Jerome. Nice.
All right. Okay. So to handle this in order, Jerome, you do a sweep of the building, and you are looking for anything magical going up and down, and You are pretty confident that there are no magical elements present, at
Huh.
least on the exterior of the building.
Okay.
Okay.
Reiko, you get a ping pretty quickly from the trunk of the car.
Mm-hmm. Riga will indicate as such. It'll just be kind of like, there's some goods in there.
Interesting.
I'll go stick my head in the trunk of the car. I'm incorporeal. I can do that.
You see, and it's kind of hard to make it out, but your eyes adjust to eventually. No, they don't. You got like a dark vision and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I've got crazy good dark vision.
You're fine. So, you see that there are like a number of, in addition to the typical like stuff you keep in a car trunk stuff, in terms of like basic maintenance tools and stuff.
Yeah,
That
body rolled up in a carpet. Yeah, I gotcha.
That there are a couple of cases that are kind of like, they look basically like first aid kits, like small
Right.
white cases.
Yeah, he's definitely got it in here. He's got 2 little cases of it.
Oh, Dan,
Yo.
would you mind going out to the front seat and retrieving my phone?
Yeah.
Since you're down there.
I go. I'll go get the phone.
Just occurred to him, like, we should probably get the phone. And since he's down there already.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that there are security cameras on the car,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we're pulling a physical object out of the car.
Which can be made intangible, yes.
It's
for-
hidden.
Like, yeah, are we going to see a floating cell phone here?
No,
We shouldn't.
because we made it intangible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hidden, so the cameras can't see it, and then they won't see it when it becomes intangible.
Right.
Okay.
Part of me has thoughts about this, but I'm going to kill those. So,
I mean, it has to be able to be made intangible, invisible for me to have been carrying it in that manner in the first place.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same
I
with
hadn't considered
Reiko and
that.
her own.
There's continuity me, and then there's science me. That are like they're at odds with each other right now.
Yes, but this is science.
These are phones
Science
we
is
got from
science is
Ghost
bullshit in
Lab.
this
They
setting to a certain degree.
Pretty
These are
much.
phones we
Side
got
note-
from Ghost Land. They're made from ghost materials.
Yes,
I mean,
science is not
Tan-
bullshit, but it's.
I mean, Tan got their phone from a pawn shop, but that's a different story. There,
But that is another tale.
To quote so many great philosophers, magic is bullshit, yo.
All right.
All right. So we have good suspicion that if they have it here, they might be using. And if they might be using, we might have a problem when we go in. At least we would have if we hadn't done this. So we might want to be extra careful about whatever we do when we go inside.
Oh, I have a terrible, terrible thought.
Before they go inside, though, Jerome asked Rico to do a quick net search. Now that we don't need to look at the tracking app for see if she can find a video of Cecilia Teagues. So he has something to work off of later.
Gotcha.
A video? Okay.
Jerome needs a
He needs to
visual
see-
representation of Cecilia
and
also
to see
see-
how
and
she
her
moves
how
and
she moves
sounds.
and sounds. Yeah.
Right.
I getcha. All right.
Yep. Creating phantasms. Got it.
All right. What do you want for a Google check?
I would imagine Cecilia Teagues.
I
Arts.
think she's asking Nick for what the role is for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you do this?
That'd be investigation, broadly
I-
speaking. I would
I
say,
think
or
you're right.
survival, either or.
How's survival? Exactly?
Tracking.
Tracking.
Rivals how you track.
I like that more.
Using the internet is a matter of survival. So
I'm not.
You know, I'm not gonna say that's wrong.
You Google Cecilia Teague in quotes, and you eventually find like an interview with her. It's so dumb.
Yes. D&D.
All right. So you pretty quickly, you're a teenager who's lived with cell phones probably her whole life. You find it. So I guess Reiko might not be a teenager, but whatever. You're a youth.
She's a young adult. Yeah,
She's a youth.
She's 19, I think she is.
So that's teenager still. You're still accurately
Yeah, late
describing
teen.
her.
Your Honor, these youths.
I was about to say, Council, what the hell's a ute?
Oh, I'm sorry. Youths.
Yeah,
Youths.
Jerome does thank Reiko, and like, all right. So he's sizing up the thing. He's like, all right, we have to suspect that at least somebody inside could potentially see us. We need to be a little more stealthy about our approach. I need to be able to get eyes on Stanford is in the building, so that's going to be my primary target.
Mhm.
Secondary targets that might be useful is anything that might have information on his involvement or his potential conspirators, as well as whatever happened to Cecilia. And at some point, I think we're going to want the power to go out.
Okay.
So if you happen to spot a fuse box, that would be a good thing to realize.
Cool.
I can take care of the power. If we just want darkness, I can provide that easily.
It's more it's not just the darkness. We also want to make sure that any alarm systems aren't going off on this. We don't want the cops or the fire department to show up.
Gotcha.
One quick question, Nick.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, did I get very lucky with the phone and when I left it on record? And did we catch anything interesting in the recording?
So here's the thing.
Yep.
In tracking the phone here, you were not tracking an active signal. You were tracking the most recent location of it.
Right.
So that battery be dead.
I figured. I kind of guessed. I was, as I said, I was hoping to get lucky. I didn't. That's fine.
That being said, it is also, as we have established, a ghost phone.
Yes.
So we also say that you have ghost means of charging it.
All right.
But it'll take a little bit of time.
That's fine.
Reiko will
okay,
apply
well,
the
I guess
silk
Plug it into the immaterium.
Reiko will apply the silk cloth she used to charge off of.
No,
so. Nick,
that voltage is too high, so it will actually damage the phone.
Nick,
No, we just pour 4 grams of otic energy into it that we have harvested from the immaterium.
I have a really terrible joke.
All right.
So I'm going to connect it to the ether with an Ethernet cable.
All right, I'm going to get up. Hang on. I actually do need to get up for a second, and that's a good note for me to leave for a second.
And that's the end of the campaign. It sounds like there.
Superman.
Yes, it's an Ethernet cable, with an A.
Yeah.
Actually, it's that AE letter, which I can remember the actual name for.
Yeah.
So if you had to charge it in hell, would you use Firewire?
Yeah.
Possibly. You're on Olympus, use Thunderbolt.
Sense. I mean, like, if you provide Reiko the opportunity to go home, she can provide a cat for a cable.
Yeah.
Get a Cat 1 or Cat 2 cable.
Well, I only have one.
Sometimes in bed, I like to use a cat 9 tails.
Hey, well. Yes, it's
Cat
an
on 9
Ethernet
cables. Got it.
I just like the idea of the Ethernet cable. I don't know why.
No, that was good. That was good.
It's pretty good.
I'm just realizing the farther along we get in this whole thing, how very ill-equipped Tan is for everything that's going on here.
Mm.
Yeah,
because all Tan would want to care about is who did Cecilia Teague know in life that would want to get a message from her in the
Yeah,
afterlife.
yeah.
And I don't think there's been any clear steps in establishing any of that. So
I mean, we
No,
do know that
actually-
she was friends with Marshy, so
Yeah, Marshy's like the main one that I think we've established.
Yeah.
if we tracked
And-
down her body and anything like that, he would be the one to contact about, like,
This-
getting resolution.
This is less about where her body is and just more about I don't remember the name Marshy because it's been just so much.
It's the,
I hear you.
It's the guy that you were you were talking to at the auction that was pissed off with Dan.
Yeah.
Which one? There's more than one
no,
person that was pissed off at
Marshall Bailey,
Marshall Bailey.
Yeah.
He was
the one that went to art school with her.
The one-
and
yeah,
they
the one
were
with-
kind of
yeah.
like contemporary rivals, but also friends.
Right. Yeah. So like
yeah. I understand there's been a lot.
There has been a lot, yes.
but yeah, like everything else is just sort of like it's just very out of Tan's wheelhouse.
Mm.
Yeah, this would be. I mean, at the same time, this would also be a good time to look for, evidence or things that for any other potential victims regarding this that might need resolution as well. Like for all we know, there could be somebody hanging around haunting the house already
Mm.
if they dumb enough
Possibly-
to kill somebody here.
But that's not how Tan operates. Tan operates where
Yeah, I know.
they interview the person who has passed to figure out how they want to communicate and then determines the messaging from there. So like it's difficult to do that in a soul not reaped context in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah, no, I understand. Mm.
Bible for a cell phone. Yeah, D&D rules are dumb.
Oh,
I mean, they're dumb when you're trying to apply them to things that they weren't designed for.
right. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
D&D is not a universal system.
That's like saying that a spoon is a dumb knife.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a terrible knife. You're correct.
Dumb knife.
It's not. It's,
But
it's not the.
It's
not
got its
the.
uses as a knife, though. I will say that.
It's like you
You
cut
can
things
cut
with it,
things with it,
potentially.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's designed to.
Very useful for
do.
removing hearts from people.
Why is spoon
Dull, it'll
cousin?
hurt more.
I'll say this: a spoon is a better knife than a knife is a spoon.
This is true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, I'll contest that. Depends on what you're spooning. Anyways,
Ew.
Your partner.
what's
With
that?
my knife.
A partner. What's that? Anyways,
I've seen you play knifey spoony
Someone that
before.
you're engaged in a business venture with.
again, what's that? Anyways,
Don't bring
I think
capitalism
you're,
into
I think
this.
you're back, Nick. Or I thought I heard Nick returning. Sorry.
It's all right.
I think about it. Is there a detect life spell?
I don't know.
A detect life? I don't think so. Not necessarily.
There used to
I
be
think
one
there
back
used
in
to
the day,
be.
but it was no, that was in Shadowrun.
Oh yeah, Shadowrun has
And there's a Nick.
I'm
Yeah.
back, yeah.
I'm sorry about the Aethernet fun, Nick.
No, it's all right.
I'm not sorry for it.
I'm
Nick.
not.
I'm
I'm
just
not
gonna let
actually
you know.
sorry about it, but I felt it needed. I needed to say that. I thought it was a good one.
This is what happens when I give you guys, ethical decisions to make. You pay me back with puns. All right. In terms of the mechanics of how I'm going to handle this, I'm just going to say that we're going to treat this as a spell So you can, if you ritual cast it, we will say like, look, the phone's like an extension of yourself.
Sure.
And it'll take some. You can just take the time to charge it up.
Yep. I'm currently in. Yeah, I think currently Gideon is mostly in sort of in a sort of observational role at the moment, mostly because this is what's going to be happening here is really largely Jerome's bailiwick, not Gideon's.
In terms of casing the joint, what else is going on?
So yeah, that's definitely. Basically, Gideon is good. So yeah, I will definitely be doing. I can definitely do the ritual thing. I've got plenty of time for that. Yeah. So yeah, Gideon needs more information before he can really do much of anything.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
I'd say that Tan is only going to do something if someone specifically asks them to do something in this situation, because as I was discussing a little bit, this is very much outside of Tan's wheelhouse, both in terms of skill set and to a certain degree interest. So it's just hard for them to think of a thing that they can do in the moment.
Well, like I was suggesting, we're gonna look for the a cable box and or like the primary power line.
Okay.
Not cable box, fuse box. Like, yeah.
All right. That's also going to be an investigation check.
Investigation. Where are you?
What was the result on the Cecilia search?
You
Oh,
found an interview
Yeah.
for that. Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, once Jerome gives me the word, I can kill it.
So I'm going to say this, Dentalian, in addition to finding what is clearly, an outside box to kill the power, you also see what is obviously a gas-powered generator that is hooked in. It's not currently running, but it is almost certainly a backup generator.
Gas powered generator. Maybe you want to take the spark plugs out of that.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe spark plugs. Almost certainly doesn't have those, but I wouldn't know that.
I mean, it's on gas, so I don't know how it would.
Yeah.
Without
It's just
question.
spark plugs are hardly used in engines anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They use something else. I forget what it is off the top of my head. I could also just pull the fuel line.
That's true.
Just pop a hole in the tank.
Yeah. I wish I had like little clips so I could just like clip the fuel line. So it definitely won't turn on, but I could retrieve the clip afterwards, so it's really mysterious. Why not?
It smells like gas in here. But there's nothing wrong with the gas tank.
So yeah, I'll sabotage the generator, however is necessary, whatever is the most efficient and most subtle way.
Sleight of hand, I guess. I think that's the role I'm going to ask of you.
Can I intimidate it?
No. No.
Can I use Arcana?
You cannot gaslight the gas generator.
No.
I believe gaslighting the generator would cause an explosion, which would be outside of our procedures here.
I accidentally explode the generator. Yes.
Maurice is reading the report. You blew up the house? What?
We didn't mean to. That was an accident. And it didn't look like it was
I thought if I burned off all the gas, it would disable the generator. But I forgot to take it out of the tank first.
All right, D'Italian, you start kind of poking around the generator, and I'm going to say I think that 9 is a failure in this sense. You start poking around it, and it's not that you can't like break it because it's a piece of machinery. It's easy to fuck with it in all sorts of different ways.
Right.
It's that you like start trying and do some of the subtle things that you were suggesting, and due to a lack of experience with working with this kind of thing, Diane's just like, I don't know how to mess with this without just making a bunch of noise. So you can sabotage it loudly and draw attention to the fact that it has been sabotaged, or you could just hold off on doing it until later.
I'll hold off on doing it till later then.
But you are aware of that, the presence of this machine now.
So when Jerome did the flyby, did he happen to notice any kind of like windows facing inside of the house?
Yes.
Did he happen to see any people?
Give me a perception check.
Let me do that. He's not. I mean, he's in owl form, but he's not in owl form, so that's not with advantage.
Mm-hmm. You don't see anyone inside the building, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that all of the blinds are drawn on the inside.
That's
We're
unfortunate.
incorporeal. We could just slide through.
Yes, but they if they're using the thing, they might be able to see us. So we know they have some, and it's not like they were in a pallet of like pills. They were in individual kits. This is something that somebody prepared for. All right. Unless anyone else has any preparations, we probably should begin infiltration. Anybody have any other things they want to add?
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
There's so many things we could do to make this a proper Shadowrun, but it's so much more fun to do it like by the seat of your pants. So we're gonna do that.
All right, fine then.
Let's see how many heads we have to accidentally cut off.
So you guys are
Okay.
like basically like poking your head through the wall, essentially, or
Jerome is going to do his best to be sneaky about trying to find a safe entry. So he is he is going to have to look inside of the building, but he is going to have to be sneaky about it.
okay.
So you want to do a stealth check or?
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Okay.
They're going to react to if they're going to react to anybody, they're going to react to the owl head poking through the wall.
All right. So you poke your head in, and you take a look around. I assume you're doing this just like on the ground floor.
Right. Yeah.
All right. You poke your head in and look around. You have kind of stuck your head into what is clearly like a kitchen area of some sort. It's not like a very particular like well stocked kitchen. There's there's a microwave that is kind of sitting on a shelf that in a way that suggests that it's like has not been there for a while, as in like someone just kind of brought it in, just plugged it in, and there's just kind of like some basic food commodities like grabbed from the convenience store for easy preparation and stuff. There's a few dishes that are in the sink, and there is a noise from an adjacent room, which is not really divided off from the kitchen by a full wall. There's like a half wall that divides it, and through there you can hear the very slightly distant sounds of a TV.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
All right. Give me one more perception roll here.
All right. Perception.
19. Okay. So you look around. You very quickly spot that there are also cameras on the inside of the building. Not nearly so many as like are exterior facing, but there are cameras that are watching the doors and are just kind of like positioned in the corner of some of the main. Of There's one positioned in the corner of the main room, like the living room area that you hear the sounds of the TV from, and you spot another one that is trained on the door. Well, I say doors. One on the front door, one on the back door, and then one up in the corner of the living area. There's also what seems to be like some sort of motion detector next to the one that's just kind of watching over the living room area as a whole. So, like, if someone goes through the room, then it would set that off, and then there's almost definitely probably alarms on the doors themselves.
Right.
With 19. You can hear like the sounds of conversation through in the living room area that are for the most part kind of muffled by the sound of the television, but but from what you can tell, parsing through between the sounds of the television and the people speaking, it sounds like there's two people just kind of like talking casually about stuff, just talking about football. Just like kind of very casual conversation, like two people hanging out in a living room. Neither of them are Stanford. You can tell that right away.
About to ask that. Okay, that's good to know.
And you also spot stairs that are leading up to the second floor that are located in the living room area, apart from the kitchen.
Now, the real question now is, now, obviously the security is all in here because they need to, keep dibs on the safety, and Stanford's probably a little paranoid. However, the real question is, does the drug allow them to see us through a camera? I'm thinking no, but we're going to find out eventually. So, using this opportunity that he knows he's not being seen, and he knows that at least Stanford's probably not over there watching football with the guys, as it were, he's going to start looking upstairs.
All right. Okay. All right, you start doing that.
All right. We need more stealth tricks, or?
Nope.
All right.
Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
You've been charging up your phone.
Yes.
By pointing your finger at the charge port and a little spark going between your finger and the phone, I guess. Yeah. And you are able to charge it up enough that you can start listening to what you were able to record with it before. There's notification on it of like warning your phone is that too much memory capacity. No, it's not. There's no way that like in the battery would run out way faster than the memory would.
I would imagine so. Honestly.
For an audio conversation.
If
you're a video conversation, but
you're not using enough of your storage. You made a mistake when you purchased a phone with this much capacity. You should question your life decisions.
Fortunately, I'm not alive, so it's not really an issue.
Your afterlife decisions.
My unlife decisions. Yes. Anyways, I will start listening.
Since I have ruled that the phone is essentially an extension of yourself, I'm going to ask you to make a perception check for the phone.
Okay, sure. Why not? We'll go with that.
A reception check.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
All right. As a reminder, if passive applies, my passive is a 16 due to observant.
Gotcha. So this is a matter of
basically roll 1% passive. So great.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a fine roll.
Yes, it is.
This is just a matter of The phone is under the seat of the car.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. No, I think this is totally reasonable.
No, it's not
Right.
in the cushion, but
Well, and also it's closer to the floor of
The
the car.
floorboard of a car that was driving. So yes,
Right.
I'm not hoping for a lot.
So here's what you were able to hear
Okay.
through. So to begin with, like it's quiet at the beginning after you hear like the shuffling of people, like people being like scolded by Stanford and stuff, and then doors stuff shuffling around, doors closing, seatbelts going click and stuff, and then the car starting up
Mhm.
and driving off. And after a minute or two, the driver says, "Mr. Stanford, is everything all right, sir? It seems like something may have happened." And Stanford says, "Just get us to Safe House B right now." And he's like, "Well, yes, sir. Anything else that I should be doing?" He's like, "Just get us there. Let me." And the car kind of like hits a bump, and you were not able to hear the beginning of Stanford's next sentence.
Mhm.
But he says, when it comes back clear, it's like calls to make. And he very clearly starts talking to someone other than the driver from that point forward, as he gets on the phone and starts calling up a number of people. A lot of the stuff that you hear is like very just kind of like boring, like I'm not going to be available kind of stuff.
Right.
Take care of this thing, take care of that thing kind of thing. Very clearly putting affairs in order. And it is obvious that he is preparing to not be available for an indeterminate period of time based on the details that he mentions at various points in the conversation. Like people clearly at different points ask him like, "Oh, for how long?" And he's like, "I don't know. Just take care of it." So there is no limits on like I will be back in a week. There's no even pretending about that. Just like until I contact you back, do this, and that's just it.
Right.
At one point, you think that he contacts Secondhand Reg.
Yep.
And his side of the conversation goes, "As we discussed, we will be suspending operations in your areas. No more of it will be provided to you. Now, Reginald, relax. You will continue to receive your payment as I said. All you have to do is keep on doing what you do best. Just think of it this way. You don't have to worry about doing anything extra. It will be pure profit for you from now on. So just drop it. Good." And that's basically what you're able to get out of that.
Okay.
wow, that was some saucy details there.
Well, it seems that Dan scared him into going to ground.
Is he here?
We don't know yet.
Is this Safe House B?
We don't.
Jerome.
Cut to Jerome.
Cut to Jerome. This is Safe House Z, unfortunately. You're a little bit off in the alphabet there.
There's just a giant A on the wall.
A on every wall.
I wonder where we are.
Welcome to pristine Safe House A.
Well, welcome to Safe House B. We built it the exact same as A, but forgot to change the letters.
Yeah.
Welcome to Safe House A, in parentheses underneath. Definitely not Safe House B.
There's just an embroidery thing, like it's just like, welcome to Safe House A.
Safe House A, sweet Safe House A.
Just one of the thugs is sitting in the chair talking about football, and he's just knitting.
The real question is, are these guys Manchester United fans? Because if they are, then their time has come already. No,
All right, we can send Sarigi after those two.
I'm pretty sure if they're Manchester United fans, they probably just want to die.
Boy. Anyways,
so you get up the stairs, Jerome, and there is a small hallway up here that immediately comes off of the stairwell, and it looks like it. So there's like a bathroom in the middle, and then there's a bedroom to either side.
All right.
So, left or right? Left or right?
Which is on which side?
That's for you to find out. That's
Okay.
why I'm asking you.
All right. Jerome's actually gonna check the bathroom first. So he's. I mean, so I don't know if that's on the left or the right, but let's just say that.
The bathroom is technically on the left, but it's so when you go into that, you again are struck. You get the same impression as you do from like the kitchen, in terms of like there is very little that is in here, and what is in here was basically just like brought in here. So there is like a single towel on the rack, and then there is like a toothbrush that is just kind of like sitting on the lip of the sink, and like a couple of just like typical toiletries are in here. It is what little is in here is actually pretty well organized, despite the fact that there are very few organization assisting little touches. Like there is a comb that is that is sitting directly next to a razor, that kind of thing, and they're aligned parallel to each other.
Everything's very meticulous in here. Like it's very organized.
Yes, despite how bare bones it is. This is the mark of a person who likes this kind of stuff, just like to be in order.
Yeah, I want to believe that Stanford's the kind of person who would not share a bathroom with his goons. So this is probably his private bathroom, and they probably use the one downstairs. So if I do anything in here, I probably don't have to worry about anybody else seeing it.
So wash my hands so hard in here.
Oh no. So Jerome is like, all right, let's start having a little fun.
Look, nothing scary happens in bathrooms.
Right. So Jerome plucks a feather from his himself, and he channels this power into it, and he starts writing on the mirror, and the ink starts looking like blood. And this is something he can do. It is a feature for him. And he is written like, I know what you did. And it's just like this drippy red thing on the mirror.
Very small in the corner last summer. All right.
And then he does the same in the shower behind, and he closes like the curtains for the shower, so you'd have to see it if you went in there.
Okay. So we're starting at a good clip. Good.
I like to see someone saying, like, someone who sees that message, I know what you did, and it's just like, I know what I did too. I don't see why this is scary.
Honestly, I'm hoping that like when things reach a crescendo, we just have me sitting in a chair going, so, you never called.
I feel like we're actually kind of getting to around the point we usually stop. And I feel like that's a good stopping
Okay.
point.
Sure. That's fine. That's fine.
Just Jerome just has this what passes for a horrible smile on it, Al, as he kind of like he starts taking as much as he objects to actually killing somebody, he's absolutely thrilled to just completely fuck with this guy, and he's just like
scaring the crap out of them is one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is in full like nightmare mode. So blood on the walls.
I would never kill anyone. Scare them to death.
Yeah.
Now.
Scared them to
Can hardly be blamed if they have an aneurysm because of my actions.
Yeah, and we'll just like the end scene on that is just the camera focusing on the mirror with like the bloody writing on it.
And a very smug Jerome in the reflection.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for D&D Abeyance for this week. We'll see you next time as the haunting of Stanford continues.
Oh yeah. Catch you all later. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone.